Hello again, everyone. I'm going to start this runner-chaser dynamic video with the quote that is shown, the image for the video. The sole purpose of twin flame relationships is to help us soulfully mature and become the best versions of ourselves possible. That is why we are twins. That is why we are here. That's why we chose each other. That's why we are brought back to each other. That is why we are so drawn to each other, is to become the best versions of ourselves as one. So anyways, so on with the runner-chaser dynamic video. In the last episode 3, we left off with me discussing our initial meeting of the first time, or us coming into each other's lives, and it was overwhelming and powerful couple of weeks, and then I became too overwhelmed and ran fast as I could back to what was familiar and what I knew I could handle. So after that, we stayed away from each other for probably, let me think here. We stayed away from each other from, that was probably mid-January, and we didn't reconnect until like end of May. So we stayed away from each other for a good 4 months or so. Although he continued to reach out via social media periodically here and there, and most of the time I just ignored him and was like, this dude, like, he needs to just leave me alone, like, I don't have time for his crap, like, I'm not dealing with it. I was very vague, like, very, simple replies, like, oh, laugh out loud, or haha, or, whatever he was sending me. And and one day I was at my brother's house, and not my real brother, actually. He is, we grew up together, basically. He is married now and has 2 children, or 3 children, one from the previous relationship, but I love them. That's my family. That's my family for sure. So anyways, he was telling me, I was over there, and I just remember sitting on their couch and just, watching the family, like, just be a family. And I was like, you guys, like, I really, really, really want this, like, this right here. I want this. And my brother just starts going off on a tangent, and he's like, well, if you'd stop dating, the same type of guys, and you wonder why it never works out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you need a tall country man. And I'm like, tall country man? I stop and think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's, I immediately thought of my twin. So that next day, I ended up contacting him and, explained to him the whole situation, what had happened, and he welcomed me with open arms, and he's like, okay, like, let's do this then. And I'm like, all right. So, yeah, that was the beginning. And I mean, it was intense again. I mean, for a couple months, it was super, super intense. And we almost met each other in person at one point. He was in the area, and his job is pretty strict, and he's on a time limit. So, and then my job, I work extended hours, and I work night shift, and I can't just leave. So, he had gotten here, it was a Sunday night, he had gotten here about 7 p.m. on a Sunday night, and I got to work at 6 o'clock. So I was just thinking, I'll get through my shift, and, I'll go see him in the morning. And, well, he had fallen asleep, and by the time he woke up, he had to go, or else he would have lost some money or been stranded. So, that was hard. That was really hard. But I also remember, like, him just being so angry about it, so angry about the situation. And I was just like, my heart ached, my heart hurt. But I was calm about it. And, but I got anxious, and you know, it sucked. It really, really sucked. And then, I don't know, like, I didn't know, I didn't understand at the time that, you know, like, you know, if he's here, I can't, you know, just be, I got to take advantage of the situation because of the nature of his job. But, anyway, so, like, even before all of that, it moved very quickly, like, again, we were on the phone talking to each other for extended periods of time throughout the day. I mean, every night we were on the phone for at least 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours every night, video chatting one another. I remember specifically at one point, I just felt I had a day where I was just kind of like, oh, you know, like down and like, where's this going? And he like tuned into that like super quick. And I remember like, it was crazy because, I mean, that was the moment he told me that he loved me, and he tuned into that, and he's like, you know, what's going on? Like, he didn't like say it outright, but I knew what he was like. He was communicating that to me, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, it's okay. We're okay. I love you. And he said that to me. He's like, I love you. And I was like, whoa, like, okay. Usually the first one to say I love you is like crazy, you know, like they lose their minds at some point. So, but I ended up, I didn't say I love you back. I was like, you know, I do, like, I felt a very strong connection to him, and I was like, you know, my experience with love in the past wasn't, you know, I didn't have the greatest, definitions of love or experiences of love. So, seeing that, or him saying that, was just kind of like, oh, you know, yeah, I really care about you, and I do love you, but I'm not like in love with you, and that's going to take some time. And he was like, yeah, you know, I get it, you know, whatever. And that was that. And then shortly after that, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and, you know, it's been one heck of a ride. It has so far, and we're not even that far into it. So, but then, anyways, so then he'd even said to me one time, like, we were just talking back and forth via social media, and he says to me, he's like, are you talking to other guys? I'm like, well, yeah, there's other guys trying. I am single. This was before he asked me to be his girlfriend. Like, I am single, you know, like, there's other guys trying, but you're my main focus. And he was like, oh, well, that makes me feel good. And he's like, but prior to that, he had said, I adore you. He told me he adored me. And that was just like, wow, like, that really, like, I've never had anyone tell me that they adore me. And I was just like, that is like so sweet. Like, that's like, wow, that really just, you know, melted my heart and soul. So I was like, well, and then plus he said you adore me. So there's that. And then he sent me a little, like, picture of a little stick figure guy handing over his heart. And he said, I'm going to make you my wife someday. And that was just like, wow, you know, like, holy crap, like, this could really be the guy. Like, could be the one. And it felt good. Like, it felt like, yeah, you know. And then I kind of went into, like, a phase of just, like, I became obsessive about it. Like, I became overwhelmed by it. And I mean, like, we had our entire wedding planned out, like, in a matter of one night, you know, like, we knew the color, and we knew this, we knew that, and it all synced together. Everything I was saying, he was in tune with, and it was just, like, it was amazing. It was magical. But then so after, sorry, I lost where I was at. I have notes here, so I'm kind of trying to read over them and see where we're at. And then, like, shortly after the first time we tried to meet up with one another, he started to kind of fall back a little bit. Like, he started to run, and I didn't understand what was happening. Like, he just, like, we stopped talking, and I mean, we were still, like, talking, but it wasn't, like, meaningful. It was just like maintaining a connection. It wasn't anything, you know. So I took that as, like, he was, like, I felt ghosted. I felt like he was, you know, he was done with me. He was done with me, and he was moving on. He didn't want to deal with me anymore because, you know, I wasn't good enough. And, you know, me telling all these stories to myself, I wasn't good enough. And he couldn't handle me, and, like all of this. And all right, sorry about that. I need to make this quick because apparently the app I'm using is only going to allow me 16 minutes. And I knew this was going to be a long one, but so what were we talking about? I felt ghosted. I felt like he was just done with me. So I started dating, and we still continued to communicating a little bit, very vaguely, very, short and sweet. And then I was on a social media platform and was sending a video to one of the guys I had spoke to, and this was the universe interfering, or intervening. Wasn't really interfering, but intervening. I was sending a video to one of the guys I was talking to, but somehow the connection, I had a bad connection, and the video sent to my twin. So immediately, I'm like, oh crap, he caught me, I felt like I was caught, I was doing something bad. And then I just came clean, I was like, I've been dating, I've been seeing a couple guys, and, told him about one of my experiences. I rode a motorcycle for the first time, and he did not like that. He, literally, as soon as I got out of work, he jumped on the phone, and we talked for an hour, and then he kind of, shaped up a little bit. He actually started talking more. I told him, I was like, I need that. I need you to talk to me. I need to talk to you on the phone. And he started to pick up, but he did not like that at all. So I cut all ties, and I was like, okay, I understand, and, but we talked, we figured it out. So the communication increased, but after so long, we just still weren't we weren't on the same page. And then this is when all of the crap started really coming out. It's for myself personally, I don't know for sure what he is dealing with. I could probably sit down and think about it, but at this point I really haven't. I know of a few things that he's kind of dealing with, but I haven't pinpointed them. But for myself, neediness, anger, demanding, I'm wanting conditions, and fear of abandonment, not getting attention. My ego started to just blatantly show its ugly face, and so our communication started to decrease again. And I was just not a very, very pleasant person. I wouldn't have wanted to be around me either. I wouldn't wanted to speak to me either. So, we just kind of, we were going through that push and pull, and then all of a sudden he says to me, I want to take a break. And my world completely changed at that moment. I was open to it. I was like, okay, if that's really what you need, then, I understand. That's fine. I'll give you that. But this isn't done. We're not done. This is, he's like, it's going to take a week. I'm going to give you a week. We're going to take a week break, and we'll go from there. And I mean, we still talked a little bit. It was very vague throughout that time. And, towards the end of that week, it started to pick up a little bit. And, we just kind of since then, we've just been kind of, and this was 4 or 5 weeks ago now at this point. We've still been on this break. We haven't really reconciled fully. At one point, we got into an argument. I don't even remember what it was about. Oh, I was talking to him on a social media platform, or I was texting him, and he said that ship has sailed. And then we were talking on a social media platform, and he was like, what? I thought you wanted to work on this, or, and then at that point I realized, we can't talk to each other via just, text. I need to hear his voice. I need to see his face. I need to hear his expressions. I need to be able to connect to him on that, on a different level, because I was misinterpreting everything he was saying. So, yeah, so we've just really been kind of like, at this point, we're in this like separation, and that's when literally like clockwork, the very next day after we decided to take a break from one another, not that we have stopped talking to each other, we still talk every single day, or, you know, at least check in with one another every single day, but I awakened, like the universe bombarded me. The synchronicities, I started seeing 1111 everywhere. Like that first night I was at work and I was just like, I was feisty as all get out, and just started seeing 1111 and 111 and 222 and 333 and 444, and I just started seeing all these numbers. So that's when I jumped in and started researching and like, why, what is happening? What is going on? What is happening to me? And finally came across twin flames and started learning about twin flames. So this video is actually going to end, so I'm going to wrap it up. But the next episode, I believe I'm going to discuss separation, and well, I'm going to discuss my awakening. You know, exactly my awakening. So if you like this video, if it resonated, awesome. If not, I apologize. It just wasn't meant for you. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so you get notified of new episodes, and stay elevated, guys. I mean, hang in there. You gotta do the work. You can't run. You're gonna run, but you gotta do the work regardless if you're running or you're sitting in your power. But own it, own your power, own it. It's only gonna make it easier. All right. Oh, so much love to each and every one of you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening, whatever time it is for you at the moment of you listening to this. And yeah, I will talk to you guys in episode 5. Wow, 5 episodes now. Cool. Bye.